Anshul, we played out the reactions or the voices that had come in through that rallies that the Prime Minister had done and the various statements that he made through the course of the day. I want to open the show with your comments on what he said about the Congress Party. And the Prime Minister launched a scathing attack on the Congress Party and argued that the Congress Party has outsourced its policies, and I'm quoting him, to urban Naxals, preventing the passage of the Women Reservation Bill. It's a serious charge to make that you made a promise to the people of this nation, but you never fulfilled it. Your reaction, your response.
Am I audible?
You're audible, perfectly audible. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So, first of all, what the Prime Minister, we don't have a Prime Minister. Pradhan Mantri nahi hai, Prachaar Mantri hai. That's all that he does. He's not a PM, he's an EM, event manager. He goes from state to state, campaigns, tells lies, gets rejected by people, and then comes back again. Now, as far as his allegations are concerned, they are very laughable. The Congress is run by Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge. He's a devout Ambedkarite. And to cast aspersions and allegations of such kinds is not befitting of a Prime Minister. But he has never held the dignity of office that was required by the Prime Minister. As far as the Women's Reservation Bill is concerned, you see, it was the Congress which first initiated this in the local bodies across the country through Panchayati Raj. It was a vision of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi. It was implemented by Narasimha Rao ji, and we ensured then and there that the women had representation in local bodies. And it was the Congress which introduced it in 2009-10. At that time, we could not get it passed. This time, what he has given is not women's reservation. It is Jumla. He has linked it to delimitation and census figures, which will come after 10 years. We don't know what will happen. And ये जुमला पकड़ा के फिर से अपनी दुकान चला रहे हैं. We demand from the Congress Party, listen to me. We demand from the Congress Party that make the quotas for OBCs there and implemented right now. We supported it in the parliament.
मैं आपसे यही पूछने वाली थी अंशुल जी, that if this is just a jumla, then why did all political parties support it on the floor of the house? Shazia Ilmi, please go ahead, make your agenda. I'll come back to you. Anshul, I'll come back to you. Shazia Ilmi, please go ahead.
So I'll come to Madhya Pradesh specifically, and why the reference to what was the part of the Bimaru states, a term coined by Ashish Bose many years back, and now it is no longer part of the list. And Madhya Pradesh is very well out of it, so is Uttar Pradesh. So I think the acronym Bimaru doesn't stay. But let me tell everybody, as enunciated by my friend from Congress Party, what is the idea of democracy? Prime Minister, according to them, is a Prachaar Mantri. He keeps doing false propaganda. People keep voting for him. That means by just saying this, he did not even only mock the Prime Minister, which is his right to do, because a Prime Minister is the tallest face of this largest political party of the world, but he's also mocking the wisdom of all the voters by saying voters go for propaganda. So voters are big fools according to Congress Party, and I think voters will show you what a big fool you are to call them fools. That's one thing. Secondly, he talked about so-and-so person being an Ambedkarite. You all know how Congress Party treated Ambedkar and how you had a candidate who made sure that Ambedkar got defeated, not B.R. Ambedkar ji. How he was defeated not once but twice. And this was the handiwork of Congress. So less said about Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the better. Thirdly, and more importantly, about Women's Reservation Bill. Right now, look at your double speak. Right now on your channel, Anushka, we just heard him call it a jumla. And what were you doing? What were you doing in the parliament? Both the houses? Quietly sitting and being signatory to this jumla. I mean, it's a matter of great shame that you do something in the parliament, which I can tell you everybody watched.
So, Shazia ji, there's also this particular demand of OBC reservation.
I made certain particular.
Yeah, I'm raising that with her. Shazia ji, there's also this particular demand of OBC reservation within the women's reservation bill, within the women's quota. Yeah.
Anusha, and not linking it to census.
Yes.
This is exactly the reason why the bill was not passed for 27 years. In fact, Sonia Gandhi, she keeps tom-tomming the fact that she was the one who got the bill passed in Rajya Sabha. Ask her and ask him, was the OBC reservation there? And come discuss it, make sure it happens. You are asking for a caste census. You don't even know. They did a caste census in Karnataka. Their party, they could not even table it. They could not even table it. Tell me, how will you identify a number of OBCs? How will you identify?
I'll bring in.
You all know that you're talking rubbish.
Can I respond, because it's been asked
Yeah,
with me?
One second. Yes, please go ahead, Anshul, make your point. 30 seconds to you. Then I want to bring in other guests also into the discussion.
Yeah, so the thing is that we already have the data of the SCCC that we had done in our previous government, and we should make it public. Now, it's very interesting that the Prime Minister has linked the issue of women's reservation to the census and to delimitation. But when we say
there's
that
the 84th
if we want
amendment.
to have social,
I'll come back to you, Shazia ji. I'll come back to you. I'll come. All right. One at a time. Please go ahead. Anshul, make your point.
Yeah.
Then I'll give her the time to respond. First your point, then I'll go to other guests. Yes.
So it's interesting that the Prime Minister has linked the reservation of women to the census and delimitation. But when we say that we want to have a relook at issues of social justice and reservations, when Rahul ji raises the point that why there are only 3 secretaries out of 90 in the central government, let's have a caste census so that we have accurate data to make policies. They say that we will not have caste census. They are trying to beat around the bush. So that is their double
Can I just answer that?
One second.
It was.
No, this is a.
No. Shazia ji, I'll give you the time to respond. You can note that point and you can come back and respond to that. Anshul, you have made your point. There are other panelists as well, patiently waiting for their turn. Chaitanya Singh. 1 second. Shazia ji, I'll come back to you. Please allow me 2 minutes. Chaitanya Singh. There's an interesting development that has happened as we were gearing up to do our 6 p.m. show today, that AIADMK has snapped its ties with the BJP. Many argue that the allies for the BJP in the NDA right now have not really survived, or the manner in which the allies ought to be treated. This is one point that the opposition parties have also raised with respect to the BJP. Do you think that this women reservation bill is something that will be able to get BJP the kind of place and position that it wants in the Hindi heartland, in states like Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, especially in MP where the Congress party seems to be very, very confident?
Look, I feel that the women's reservation bill is going to have far-reaching benefits for people at large. Let's not talk about electoral benefits to any party. Obviously, the BJP had the Prime Minister Narendra Modi had the resolve to bring this on the floor of the House and pass it. If the Congress wanted, it could have done so back in the past, but it did not. So obviously, there was lack of some kind of will. Where there is a will, there is a way. So obviously, women voters will definitely support the NDA. Women voters are so elated. The women of this country are so elated that they have been sitting in the back lines for almost 70 years. India has gained independence. Finally, they are getting some sort of recognition. And of course, the women are definitely going to see that it's the Narendra Modi NDA government that has brought this bill and passed it. There are certain technicalities involved, but any bill for it to be made a law, there are certain technicalities.
Mr.